The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN, 8:30 a.m. Thursday morning. We're going to get GDP numbers in a moment. We're going to get weekly jobless claims in a moment. The market, quite the volatile session overnight. Right now, we have the S&Ps flat on the session, but you're talking about giving up about 45 S&P points. You zoom it into where we were, 2:15 a.m. Eastern time. You had the S&Ps trading at a price point of 33.10. You trade down all the way below 32.60 briefly. That low at about 7:45 a.m. this morning. We've bounced 8 points since then, 32.63 right now in that S&P market. Pulling this over for a second. I'm going to look for the news as I'm on here as well, looking for the GDP numbers and the weekly jobless claim numbers. Initial jobless claim, 751K. Thanks, Ruby in the den. 751K. The number they were looking for was 770,000. So jobless claims pretty much in line there of what you'd expect. We're at about 800,000. 751 will pull over the headline there for the numbers versus about 778,000 expected. There's your number for the jobless claims. That number hitting at 830. Pretty stagnant number we're dealing with as we march along on a weekly basis of approaching 800,000 jobs added. Jumping through the other markets, Nasdaq, similar story, up to almost 11,300, currently 130 points off that level at 11,166. The Nasdaq, the only index still in the green. The Dow, negative 81 points. You see the sell-off in the Dow. We were up at 26,800. We've given up 500 Dow points right now. We are below where we were at the close of yesterday. Dow off 81 points. You got the Russell off 7 points right now, or about 0.5%. I mean, the Russell just gave up 2% from where we were at 2:30 in the morning. Commodity-wise, Bitcoin hanging above 13,000, made it up to 13,870 for some context. That is right up to where we were almost dealing with those highs, within about $45 of the June of 2019 highs in Bitcoin, backing off a bit at 13,045, putting it back on a 15-minute. Crude trading lower as well, off almost $2 at 35.41. And it looks like we got the GDP number, thanks to our man Dave White. Ruby in there in the den. Folks, Tiger's Den, check it out on TFNN.com. GDP, 33% versus 31. So pretty good numbers, all things considered. You got a spike in the GDP as expected. Pretty historic number at 830. Weekly jobless claims coming in just shy of 800,000. And what do we wait for now? We wait for earnings. S&P's up a bit off of the lows, 32.65, sneaking back into positive territory with 10 points off the lows now. You put it on a minute-by-minute chart, and you can see a little bit of volatility even in the last minute, right? Popping a bit. There's your 830 bar. Pretty muted volatility when you think about what we get. Weekly jobless claims, GDP numbers. You're seeing a pop, though, on that S&P right now, 32.67. All right, back to a 15-minute. Jumping around to what else we got going on. Gold contract trading lower as well. Reaches a low of 18.62, trading at 18.69, down about $10. Silver off 50 cents at 22.85. And notes and bonds, pretty stagnant action, actually. Right now, you got the 10-year flat at 138.25. The 30-year up 3 ticks at 174.04. All right, jumping around to what else we have going on. Of course, big day of earnings in the market. We got, after the bell tonight, Amazon coming out with their numbers. They're a little bit higher this morning, waiting for the market open from 31.62 to 31.90. We got Apple from 111.20, quite a day yesterday, from 115 to 111. You're trading up a bit ahead of their numbers to 112.30. We got Google numbers as well. Google up a bit as well. You see the Nasdaq right now positive 55, S&P catching a little bit of a bid, up 5 points again. The Dow only off 27 points right now. Google up a bit as well, and we get Facebook 276.96. You see the spike there on Facebook, up almost $9, trading a bit higher in anticipation of their numbers coming out after the bell tonight. All right, what else we got going on? There's the GDP number, as I mentioned. So you're looking at 33.1% in the third quarter. Market was looking for about 31 to 32%. Pretty historic number. U.S. economy growing at its fastest pace ever. And that's after the fastest drop-off ever. Third quarter GDP, measure the total goods and services, July through September, expanded at 33.1% annualized pace. That came after a 31.4% plunge in the second quarter. Better than the 32% number they were looking for. The previous record, 16.7%. So almost doubling that number in terms of GDP. Since then, 228,000 American lives lost in terms of talking about the shutdown in there. Third quarter, nonetheless, S&P's catching a little bit of a bid. It's going to be an interesting day, folks. We are on Thursday trading. The presidential election is on Tuesday. We're 5 days away from the presidential election. Remarkable that that's where we stand. The last 4 years, flashing by in an instant. The last 7 months, the longest 7 months around, yet somehow pretty quick. All things considered, that it's been 7 months that we've been dealing with this, even longer than that actually now. My birthday in the middle of March, right when things kind of hit down, so that's more than 7 months at this point. And hopefully that vaccine coming down the line anytime soon. You know, people want it to be here December, January, February. If it's not, it's coming. It's coming soon, folks. So don't let that fatigue come in, because some pretty stark cases, we'll get into them later in the program, but pretty stark numbers right now as we're coming into the cold season in the U.S. All right, S&Ps, though, putting it back on a 5-minute, seeing a little bit of a pop. We're now a solid 20 points above the lows we had. Started the program at 8:30, and we were down there at a price point of about 32.62. We've popped 12 points in the S&P. You see the overnight action all the way up to 33.10. We've given that up. We're trading at 32.74. We're still a solid 35 points off of the lows, but coming off that number, coming off the GDP, coming off the weekly jobless claims, trading higher. Now the market waits for earnings. Some of these companies, though, getting punished with pretty strong numbers. You look at Microsoft yesterday. Microsoft trading down hard. You were at 216 right away initially on their announcement of their earnings. You ended the day at 202. You were at 216 after they reported. Now you opened at about 208. So the market traded low overnight on the news of their guidance especially. But still, you're talking about giving up from 216 to 202 in one trading day on pretty decent numbers, all things considered. A lower guidance than maybe the market was looking for, but the market was looking for $40.5 billion to be exact in terms of the next 90 days. Microsoft said they're going to come in probably between 39.5 and 40.5 billion, on top of beating on the current quarter in many ways. Nonetheless, Microsoft paying the price yesterday, a bit higher though this morning. We were up to almost 206 on Microsoft, but strong numbers, selling off pretty dramatically. It'll be interesting to see what Amazon and Apple bring to the table and how the market reacts, because Amazon holding up well, 31.90, but this stock, a lot of great growth priced into this equity. When you went pre-COVID at 2,200, the lows at 1,600, and we've been trading above 3,000 for almost 4 months now. So you're trading above 3,000 for 4 months. You better be putting up some strong numbers. Apple, same thing considered. We'll see what they have to say about their 5G, the iPhone 12 launch. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back in 3 minutes.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
TFNN has launched our brand new website. You can still visit us at the same TFNN.com URL, but when you do, you'll see a new and improved homepage with a much simpler navigation, whether you're watching Tiger TV live in high definition or just accessing your newsletter subscriptions. We even have new pricing in 6 months and yearly options. Check out the new TFNN.com now and experience all the upgrades. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Hi, folks. This is Tom O'Brien. The printing presses are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The U.S. deficit has risen 200% in 1 year with no end in sight. The markets are looking for an additional stimulus bill to get us through this once-in-a-generation pandemic. There is no free lunch, folks. The more stimulus dollars put into the marketplace, the less your dollar is worth each and every day. This is the time to protect yourself with a portion of your portfolio in the metal market. The Gold Report comes out each Monday morning. I bisect and dissect the dollar, silver, gold, the XAU, and the HUI. The Gold Report is a long-term hedge against the dilution of your buying power. The U.S. has put more than $6 trillion into the marketplace in the last 6 months, with more expected in the next few months. The market did and does need the stimulus, but it will have long-term implications on our buying power. The Gold Report comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to TFNN.com and order the Gold Report now. Protect your buying power. Order the Gold Report now.
Are China A shares hot or not? If you trade China A shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A Share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the fund is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. We got a little bit of volatility continuing. S&P is negative by 1 point right now. The Dow negative by 81. You get the Nasdaq hanging on to positive gains, up 37 points. The 10-year yield right now, 0.77% over in Europe. You get the DAX down about 0.5%, FTSE down 0.4, CAC roll down about 0.9 right now. I got a chart of Comcast up here. Comcast out with their numbers, trading higher, up about $1.50, about 3%, jumping over to their actual numbers. Record high-speed internet ads. Internet, right? The way to be. Nearly 22 million Peacock signups. Peacock, the interesting one. You sign up, I believe, for free, and it's ad-supported. 22 million signups for Peacock. Comcast earnings beat the estimates. Best quarter customer results in history for broadband in the quarter. Getting into things. Earnings per share, 65 versus 52 the market was looking for. They beat by about 800 million, 25.53 billion. Versus 24.74 billion. And here's high-speed internet, 633,000 versus 534. They added an extra 100,000 subscribers versus what the market was even looking for in 90 days. That's a big number. That's an extra 1,000 people above what the market was anticipating every single day for the quarter. Strong numbers. 22 million on Peacock. Free and paid options. Okay, so 10 million signups when Comcast last reported in July, proving to be a differentiating factor for customers considering Xfinity broadband, and is also improving their churn. Peacock has exceeded every internal engagement metric without the benefit of the Olympics or content like The Office. Looks to be coming to them January of 2021. I believe they start getting the Comcast, the Office that they'll be able to have on their own streaming platform. 633,000 ads in terms of where they are on high-speed internet. Theme park revenue falling, not surprising, to 311 million, excluding theme parks. NBC Universal, because they have a Universal Studios, grew by 9%. So, eliminating the parks, NBC Universal revenue growing. California has not opened any of them, but Comcast trading higher this morning. For some context on where they have been, getting back a lot of the losses. And this morning we're going to open at approaching $44, kind of right near the upper end of this consolidation for Comcast shares. Yum Brands with their numbers as well. Quarterly revenue rises. Everyone's eating their Taco Bells. Did you get your free taco courtesy, was it Mookie Betts stealing a base in the World Series, right? I did not. My personal preference, just not a fan of the Taco Bell beef. I do like the Taco Bell chicken if I want to splurge occasionally. Nonetheless, Yum Brands, top on those estimates. Global same-store sales fell 2%. They sold their stake in Grubhub for $206 million. Earnings of $1.01 versus 80. Beat on revenue 1.45 versus 1.42. Third quarter net income $283 million, up from $255 million. The investment in Grubhub lifted those earnings per share by 2 cents. The KFC owner disputed the terms of the agreement with Grubhub. They're getting into net sales rising. Here we go, 8%. So net sales rising 8%. Strong numbers. Same-store sales across Yum fell 2%. Reading the numbers here. Taco Bell reported same-store sales growth of 3%. Last quarter, the chain saw its same-store sales fall 8%, hurt by lower demand from early morning and late-night customers. So they got the flow, but, you know, when you're not going outside of your home as much, you're not going to be out there in the early mornings. You're not going to be out there, excuse me, late in the evening. And there's your action on Yum. Low volume, not really getting action today, but the bid ask about $2 higher from where you were yesterday, from 95 to 97 on their earnings. All right, other companies we got making moves. I want to get in. So Tiffany and LVMH, looks like they are going to come to a deal at a little bit of a smaller price. They are going to be paying, as in LVMH, they're going to be paying $131.50 per share. That's down from the original $135 per share that the two agreed on last in November. So LVMH getting a little bit of a haircut after all of this. There was a bunch of lawsuits going on between the two of them, but looks like they're going to get it done at $131.50. Tiffany trading at $130.81, so just off that number this morning. What else we got going on? Molson out with their earnings, $1.62 a share. The market was only looking for $1.02. Revenue above forecast. Strong growth for its hard seltzer product. That can be a repeating. I personally, I don't know if I've even ever tried one. I think I would like it. I enjoy vodka soda very sparingly, but occasionally I do. Seems like the hard seltzer would be pretty similar to something like that. Molson Coors, TAP, their symbol, TAP. Popping higher from $32.91. I mean, you see the action, though. That's a strong beat, right? I mean, they made $1.62 versus $1.02. And what happens? You're barely up $1 on that equity. 3% you're up on that equity. The reactions to the upsides, this company in particular, struggling here in a big way. One of the companies I'm always looking at, struggling recently in this pullback, but we're talking about Constellation. Quite a different chart when you compare it to Molson, but Constellation still well off the highs we had pre-COVID, 165, 208.55, the high there in February. Shopify out with their numbers. I believe they're trading a little bit higher, are they? Yes, they sure are. Now, that's the daily. How about that chart, right? We were dealing with 300. We were dealing with 500 before the shutdowns hit, and we're trading at about 1,000. And this morning, we're going to open at about 1,056. So on this chart, you're talking about a little higher, basically the highs of the day we had yesterday. To zoom it in, there's your action on Shopify. A little bit of volatility. Their earnings call kicking off at 8:30. Yes, as we came on the air. And Shopify, $1.13 a share. Market was looking for only 53 cents. Revenue scored a beat as well. Benefited from increasing number of brick and mortar retailers turning to online sales to boost results. The shares gained, as they talked about. Oh, Pinterest. How about this one? Last night after the market. Talk about an acceleration higher. Pinterest up as much as 30%. We'll pull this up. PINS. There's an acceleration for you, folks. We're up $15 basically. You're talking about a 30% pop at the open from $50 to $65. Some context. This has been a one-way rocket ship from 10, and we're going to open at about 65. Up here in this chart, I can't even, there's 65 for some reference. You put it on a monthly, you're talking about all-time highs. I mean, we only go back, I guess, to April of 2019 on this equity. And to get into the numbers, adjusted earnings per share, 13 cents versus 3. Revenue, $443 million. compared to 383. Now, this is only, what is that exactly? 60 million they beat by, exactly, to be exact. 60 million they beat by, which is just over, though, when you put it percentage-wise, 15%. I mean, if some of these big companies reporting billions ever beat by 15% revenue, you'd see a huge reaction. Monthly active users, above the estimate. Average revenue per user, above the estimate. International monthly active users, 343 million, up 46% year over year. The market loves the fact that internationally they're growing. The release of the iOS 14 also fueled user growth, as approximately 4 million people used Pinterest for inspiration for just customizing their background filters. 4 million people just for a background filter. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back in 3 minutes.
Back in the day, I joined Hotel California in 2006, and like many of you, was drawn in by, as well as...
Whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on grows.
You see, I believe that everything in life happens for us, not to us. And Tom ignited the fire within me to want to learn how to master the markets. So how did I go from knowing nothing about technical analysis to becoming the #1 market timer for the S&P 500 in 2018 and the #2 market timer in 2019? Simply put, I hired coaches with a proven track record, which led me to a whole new set of tools that I created to interpret the message of buyers and sellers. I would love the opportunity to teach you this award-winning set of tools and help you improve your market timing. You can test drive my newsletter service, Mastering Probabilities, for the next 30 days with no risk to you. Plus, you'll gain access to archive workshops that'll take you step-by-step through my system. Sign up today by going to the homepage of TFNN.com and selecting Mastering Probability in the newsletter tab.
Bam! If you haven't checked out the newsletters page of TFNN.com, what are you waiting for? All of the TFNN newsletters are informative, up-to-date, affordable, and a must-have for every trader looking to gain a competitive informational edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets to offer you the very latest in market news. Plus, new subscribers get to test drive our newsletters risk-free for 30 days. From all aspects of the markets, including stocks, bonds, metals, commodities, and tech, there's a newsletter to fit your needs exclusively from TFNN. Stay informed each day you trade and get that competitive edge that will help you stay ahead of the game. Visit our newsletters page by going to TFNN.com and click the newsletters button near the top of the page. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Introducing Primal Edge.
Today, it's even more important to take a supplement that complements your health. Primal Edge is specifically formulated to boost your immune system and help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Our early ancestors found all their nutritional requirements in the wild environment. But today, our food sources don't contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that we need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated humic and fulvic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They've been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, without them, life cannot exist.
That's right, Ellen. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, just $89, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Shame on me. I was muted there. We're going to jump through the S&Ps. We got the S&Ps up 7 points right now from 32.55. The lows at about 8 a.m. Jumping through the numbers. weekly jobless, we'll go to GDP first. Pretty interesting when you look at the drop and the rise we had on a chart, eye-popping surge. Here are your numbers going all the way back to 2001 for GDP decreases and increases. And there we see the drop-off on the second quarter, the acceleration on the third quarter. Remarkable action. When you look at the boom and busts of where we've been now, this chart here that we were just looking at goes back to the year 2000. But CNBC, when you pull things up, going back, whether it's the 1900s, now that's 2000. So as you can see, every number in there, right, we're talking about, somewhere in the neighborhood of approaching 8%, maybe on the high end of there. But you go back to the 80s. Look at these numbers, right? How about the Fed funds rate? I'll zoom it in a bit so you can see. 19.1% in June of 1981. You see the numbers we had on GDP, though. You see the numbers we had on GDPs for the Roaring 20s, World Wars, Federal Reserve established. Pretty cool action in there just to take a look at. All right, what else we got going on in terms of COVID numbers? Bloomberg's got an interesting piece out there today talking about hospitalizations. So you often hear, unfortunately, the president say it's because of testing. Folks, these are the hospitalizations state by state over the last 28 days of the trajectory, okay? The orange are the largest increases. The yellow are increases. And I believe the gray are decreases. Either way, you see the graphs and the rises of these hospitalizations going on. If you show the entire range, more than 28 days, we're still dealing with rising numbers in a lot of states on those hospitalizations. So stay safe out there. Wear a mask, social distance if you can. Let's get these numbers down until we get that vaccine out and get that economy back to normal. Stay tuned, folks. It's going to be an interesting day in the markets. We got Larry Pezavent.